How's it going? We're back.
We're back again. I can't believe they commissioned us for episode, what is it, 3 or 4? Don't even know.
I can't remember. It depends whether my recording skills work this week or not.
It says recording there.
Yeah, the BBC, I'm not sure they're going to commission us for Series 2 at this point, but we'll stick at it. We'll stick at it.
Yeah, let's keep going. Few good bits of feedback on social media, so at least a few people are enjoying it, I think.
Yeah, and talking of keeping going, we've got 2 characters who've been keeping going for a long old stint on the tour tonight, aren't we? And Roy and John, Roy Gingell, John Massarella. I mean, I've been wanting to ask these 2 a lot of questions for a lot of years. I don't know about you.
Well, I think I've asked them a lot of questions over the years, to be honest, but just not quite in this setting. But no, I mean, in all seriousness, two legends of the game in terms of refereeing. They've both done an amazing job over the last, I don't even know how long they've been reffing. I'm sure they'll tell us, but it seems like my whole career, definitely. And even way before that. So, no, good characters off the court as well in their own sort of individual ways.
They'll have some good stories on the tour, definitely.
I know they've got a couple of good ones, which I'm sure they'll enjoy telling about each other. But like obviously it's slightly different tangent as well, isn't it? Away from the playing side and getting behind people's sort of mental and physical sort of thoughts towards squash. It's actually getting the guys refereeing thoughts, which is interesting. But I'm looking forward to it. But it's been a good week. It's been a good week, a long week. Obviously, Boris's little update. How's that affected you? Is it family all good? Like, are you still keeping a positive mindset?
Confused me a little bit. Not going to lie, but staying positive, keeping on. Let's keep on going. It means that more people stay at home, hopefully, to watch our show for a little while. Because as soon as they go out and about again, let's face it, no one's going to watch us. So let's keep it going.
I think they will. Keep the faith. Stay positive.
Let's get them in.
All righty, let's do it.
Right, let's do it. Guys, it's good to see both of you. Thanks for agreeing to come on our show for a bit of a grilling. No, I'm kidding. We're going to be nice and easy to have a bit of fun.
Oh, I'm not sure about that.
No, come on. It could be a bit of fun. Thanks for joining us.
Drag John in from the garden.
I know John's always working on that tan, isn't he?
Oh yes.
The sun is shining in Doncaster, looks like.
Been a cheap tan this time as well.
Yeah. Well, quick introduction, guys. You two, infamous, shall we say, on the squash scene. Anyone who knows their squash, John Massarella, Roy Gingell, 2 of the highest profile world referees. We were just chatting to Roy off air, and I love my stats. And Roy said he's coming close to 100 major finals now. So you must have refereed thousands and thousands of matches between you both over the years, and very, very experienced campaigners. So welcome, both of you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
How's lockdown been treating you both, guys? Roy, I know you're saying you're still working for Squash Wales, so been busy.
Yeah, I've got 3 lawns in my house, boys, and I've just converted one to an allotment. So I've got some vegetables currently just sprouting up, hopefully looking for a bit of sun. But I'll keep you informed, and when I'll see you next, maybe I'll be dropping a pound of carrots on your doorstep.
What's your speciality, Roy? What you got growing?
We're on dwarf beans, mate.
Got any squash? Got any squash?
No squash, but dwarf beans, a few potatoes, bit of beetroot, bit of lettuce. A nice, I can see a nice salad emerging around August time, hopefully.
Oh, be nice then if the weather's nice.
What about you, John? You've been referred to as the mayor of Doncaster. How's you keeping everyone in Doncaster in behaviour?
Still trying to keep my status in Doncaster, ducking and diving a bit, earning a shilling here and there, you know.
Are you boys missing the squash?
Yeah. Squash? What squash? Forgotten about that.
Yeah, we should have done a few coming up, the Manchester Open we should have done, and obviously the European Team Championship, which is iconic. And then obviously John missed a bit of sun in Elguna as well. So, you know, it's a busy time, and it's just such a shame, really, like, you know, so yeah, missing the squash like anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that in terms of like you guys obviously enjoy traveling and enjoy sort of being at different tournaments and traveling to different cultures and stuff like that, and you've done it for a very long time. But I guess even like I was saying to Nick before, this is the longest I've not hit a squash ball for. It's probably going to be like 10 to 12 weeks. It's probably going to be the longest you've not refereed for in a very long time, isn't it?
Absolutely. I'm getting near divorce, to be honest, being at home all the time. Not used to that at all, you know. I have to say to my wife, stop talking to me.
Yeah, I've been keeping in handy with some matches from the past, you know, and we got a few projects going on. So been looking at some matches where the people are refed, giving some of those decisions. You know, I've been working a bit with Lee Drew, so you know, for a website. So been, you know, still been keeping the hand in, as it were.
One thing I've always been interested to know, guys, because I met you both way back. John, I met you at Doncaster Free Press Open.
Correct.
Must have been in the early to mid 90s.
Earlier.
Earlier.
Yeah, well, 27. Yeah, you were about 13. So yeah, before the mid 90s.
I mean,
you remember that, Nick?
Yeah, I remember seeing John, because we used to have this great tournament. Well, we played Doncaster a lot in the Sheffield and District League. John was always around. Martin Roberts, who was another ref, he owned the club.
Yeah.
Wife Val. And there was some great characters in that club. There was one guy who used to always play in a hat. And I didn't even know his name. I just used to know him as the Hat. I was just never playing the hat. Yeah. And there was Nidge, and there was Mick Evans, and Mick Stead. I could never beat Mick Stead. He always used to grind me out in 5. There were some good players in John's club. I remember John.
Jamie Maddox was played in the Free Press, of course.
Jamie Maddox was there, yeah.
Nick Taylor was a very young boy.
There was a great, because you always used to have, it was like the graded events, Daryl. They always used to have the top 8 maybe, and then they'd have the B and the C. And I started off probably in the D and worked your way up. Glenn Ragu, I remember playing him at one point.
Glenn Ragu, of course. Yeah, the late Glenn Ragu. Yeah.
And same thing for you, Roy. I remember meeting you at my stag with Gerwin.
Yeah, well, actually, Nick, we go back a bit further than that because, because I think I've spoken to you about this obviously a good few years ago as well. When you played obviously for England and under 16 at the time against Wales in St Mellons, remember? And you played
Simon Lewis. He was another Sheffield Wednesday fan.
Correct, and. He's obviously from my club in my stake, so I was there watching him. And the two Sheffield Wednesday, it was the most boring match as normal, typical Sheffield Wednesday.
Was it 0-0?
Yeah, up and down the walls for a few rallies until you know, he wasn't the fittest boy, Simon, lost the shots, but you kept the ball so tight on the wall, he couldn't hit anything. And I think you were probably 14, 15, Nick, when you then, yeah?
Yeah, I used to wear my shorts appear like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and just 27, you know, love, or 27-1, whatever it was, just 100 times up and down the wall, you know. Things never change.
That was the thing, the home internationals. They have added France in these days. They've just had those camps as well. So I know some of the juniors missing out playing for England. They're gutted about that. Yeah. But all those years ago, did either of you ever envisage that you'd have gone down this kind of route in squash from that point, really? How did that even come about?
Is that when you both started reffing as well?
What?
Like, yeah. Is it around that time that you both started reffing, as in for, you know, more seriously?
No. Yeah. I was actually no further out of reffing in the club at that time. Yeah. That was the beginning of my journey when Nick was coming to the small tournament there.
John was a good ref back then.
What?
John was a good ref back then.
Yeah, all right, okay.
I started. No, go on, John.
Go on. No, we never imagined where. I keep pinching myself to this day on the journey we've been on. You know, we were just doing it for enjoyment, camaraderie, enjoying people, enjoying squash. Really, that's been the way all along, and things just kept happening without without really trying to instigate them. And that's the beauty of it all.
Yeah, I got involved in 1980 because the My State Club, my sister and a partner at the time were involved in building that club. So that's how I got involved. I was 17 years of age, 18, just about to do my A-levels. Sister built the club. I started playing. Cricket was my first passion. And I started playing, got quite good at it. And, you know, I was club champion in My State for 10 years running. No one could beat me. No one can beat me.
Andy had hair.
Yeah, the golden days. And typical in Wales, you know, I ended up after the second year of playing being captain of the team because my sister owned the club, so I had to organise everything. And to referee the matches, you had to get blimmin' qualified, didn't you? So that's how I got qualified and just took it from there and ended up doing all these matches. And my team in My State, we progressed really well. So we had all these characters in our team, you know, guys that you know and you grew up with, you know, people like the Wizard, he played in my team in My State. So people like Craig van der Vat, obviously David Evans, they played in my local club team in the Welsh leagues. So you can imagine the sort of grounding when you're trying to referee, you know, players like the Wizard. I mean, yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, some of the stories were amazing. So it was just a really good grounding. And the guys said, well, you know, when we went to tournaments, they said, Roy, you should ref because you were better than these guys, blah, blah, blah. And that's how I got into it. And just lucky then, just stuck by it, was entering tournaments and just went from there. So I've been around since 1980, I got qualified. So I'm, you know, good.
The Wizard is Adrian Davis as well, for those of you who haven't come across him. Pretty legend. Daryl, you ever come across the Wizard before?
Do you know what? Never as a player, only as an MC.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've heard a lot of stories about Wizards, some very very funny ones in the past. I'm sure Roy's got about 1 million of them.
Yeah, I bumped into him about 2 weeks before the lockdown. And I had to go down to his club in Llanelli to have a meeting with the boys in down there. And I was coming out of the clubhouse and there was this guy bent over a car, just gasping for breath. And I went up to him and he turned round and no word of a lie, guys, he's been on court and he's lost about 10 stone. So he's super fit. He was having a knock with his son and that's all he said to me, I'm back.
Legend. So the journey so how many world referees actually are? You two obviously both world referees. How many are there in the world? I've often wondered that. It's not many, is there, at that level?
Well, it's changed a bit now. Up until about 7-8 years ago, there was like 5 of us, but now there's like 21 world squash. There's 21 now because they amalgamated. Years ago, there used to be world referees and international referees, but there's 21 from like the WSF lineup, to be fair. In the world,
but there's not many with the experience that you guys have got, that's for sure. And what was the moment when you realized, sure, I'm in the big leagues now, kind of thing, where you realize, you'd come on that journey and you're in the hot seat and yeah, it was on you.
That's a good question. Yeah, I guess like when you got that match where you just sat there and you were like, oh, actually, this is big. I feel that I'm going to feel the pressure here.
Crucible 2005 semi-final, Palmer versus Power. Oh. Good heavens. Yeah. I'd never been anywhere near a match like it. And someone said to me, who's got the short straw? And they said, it's me.
Was there 3 refs then, or just one?
One. And a ref and a marker, wasn't it? A ref and a marker.
Yeah. So, well, that was going to be one of my later questions. And when Daryl's got a little quick fire round later, one of mine was going to be who was harder to ref, Palmer or Power? So you can answer that one now.
Yeah, I refed them in the 2002 World Open semi-final in Antwerp. So both of you remember that one iconic match?
Is that when he hit?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. John was in the crowd next to me.
I was the marker.
Yeah, right. He was next to me, and it was obviously up to 15. One game to love, and it got to like 10 all or whatever it was in the second. And Jonathan Power, bless his soul, got cut. and actually he was quite serious. He was rolling around on the floor, and obviously everyone thought he was acting, but then it was obviously quite serious, and he actually spent a few days in hospital, I believe, as well. But that was, when you say who's the toughest, both of them were extremely, extremely tough characters.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, well, they were both different characters, weren't they?
Come on, don't sit on the fence. Who was harder, Palmer or Power?
I suppose Dave Palmer was. Yes. Yeah,
was he? I was not expecting that.
Yeah, he was a little bit more intense, wasn't he? Yeah, a little bit more intense. Yeah, he boiled over for longer periods.
Yeah.
Picture of your thumb again there, John.
I think Palmer as well, so intense. Took no prisoners on court. He left everything on court. Just left everything on court. Didn't care who you were, who you're reffing. I mean, lots of stories about him which you can't, obviously reproduce on air. But the Marine was a really good, nickname for him, because he left everything on court. Fair play to him.
100%.
Yeah. Great respect for him. Yeah.
They were both hard to play. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Different. You're right. Different. We had a few questions in from Instagram, and I'm kind of trying to bring them up when they're kind of relevant. And Rob Downer, I know you both.
Yes, we know Rob
good
Downer.
One. And I'll rephrase it slightly. So, if you've got that history with someone, they're going to be tough. How much does that influence you personally and professionally when you come onto a match? So I'll read out Rob's. He said, "Does John dislike me? Because it seems so when he refs me."
I only refed him twice.
You know what I mean? Like, if you have a bad history with Palmer, and you do you start the match with that? Because it's human nature, surely. But where do you kind of get that balance?
Well, rather than take it, go in there front on, you actually take a step back, really. You go in with a step back and let it unfold. Don't go for it. Let it unfold. Let it see how it goes. And really, you've got to keep a level head all the time. Yeah. There's got to be fair play. No, I don't think you go in with preconceived ideas. That would not be a correct way to go about it.
One interesting fact, guys, which me and John were brought up on within the English squash scene, when I used to first come across to England, and this is during the early 2000s, we used to go to events, and, we used to look at the draw, have the draw, and there used to be an asterisk against certain players. And John and I were there, and I can, as if it was yesterday. And we used to ask the tournament ref, why is an asterisk next to Daryl Selby's name? And they say, well, he's a difficult player to ref, so we need a good ref on that match.
I can understand why
really interesting, and those were the early days, and that's what, like, me and John were originally brought up on.
Asterisks is next to names.
Not difficult. Daryl wasn't difficult. He just likes to chirp a bit, doesn't he? Yeah.
He doesn't want to ref me or Daryl.
Yeah. What? Daryl is the best player. He's the best player for when you make a decision. He gives you an explanation as to why you were wrong, and you actually think to yourself, "Yeah, you're right, Daryl. I did get that one wrong." He gives a very precise explanation as to why you've given it wrong.
The thing is, going into this bit from a player's point of view a little bit more, like on the other side of it, and I'm always intrigued of the sort of relationship between player and referee in many sports, but especially within squash. Like, my motivation for talking to referees is to try and influence decisions, not that's just been made, but that are going to be made in the future. So yeah. I'm genuinely trying,
yes,
in a way, to make you see something from my point of view. Whether that makes a difference or not, I don't, I don't know. But all I'm trying to do is, and as I've got older as well, is try to phrase things in a respectful way. Because as a younger kid, you're full of testosterone. And you realise it takes you a while to realise it doesn't get you anywhere. And where you trying to actually speak to someone on a level playing field with a sensible head and make someone see something from your point of view. That's the reason I have a conversation with the referee is basically to try and influence decisions, like in a positive way, and make someone see it for, not trying to change the game or anything, but just trying to get you on my side. It's all part of the game.
And you're quite right sometimes, and a few times you're wrong actually.
Absolutely,
your explanation is not what's happened.
No, absolutely.
And that's when you're trying to con a little bit.
Yeah.
We've all been there. I was always wrong. DP used to say to me that I was the worst video review person in history.
and of course, in today's game, guys, we got that balance in between the entertainment factor, which we fully appreciate, right? We get that. And obviously then the directives from the powers to be to keep the game flowing, continuous, do want to stop him talking. But there's that balance, isn't it? Between the entertainment. And that's the most difficult bit for us. Don't get, it's tough because you get the powers to be shouting in your ear, stop him talking. And yet you get the crowd then. So you've got to find that somewhere in between, haven't you? You got to, and it's difficult. And
in some matches, it's very much a fine line, isn't it? Yeah.
But here's another question, just following on from that, on the entertainment factor, because I feel like you two especially have risen to prominence for two reasons. One, because you're excellent referees and probably the best within squash, but two, also because you have a sense of humour and the way you conduct yourselves on the court has sort of elevated you to a level where you both come out with humorous comments at times and light-hearted stuff where people actually feel a affinity to you as a referee and sympathise with you because of the way that you speak to players and sometimes say something funny or something funny happens and the way you deal with it. And part of that entertainment factor is a little bit you guys as well. I don't know if you feel that, but
I think you've always got to try and be human, haven't you? If you're selling yourself as being human a little bit, as well as being respectful, you can't go across the line either, or it can go wrong as well. Yeah. So it is a fine line. And we actually probably work on it. We look at what we've said next day, and could we have said it a bit better, or shouldn't we have said it? But no, it is a little bit of the entertainment value as well.
And John and I do that a lot, obviously, because we work so much together. We are main critics, to be fair, and we 100%, totally agree. We conscious. We part of the show, right? We got to be part of the show, but we are not the show. And that's that's something
so important
at the back of our minds all the time, and sometimes, because of the nature of the game, we got to come into the game a little bit earlier, and we firmly believe that's not our doing. It starts with the guys on the court, the girls on the court. If they are not hitting their targets, are not playing well, having a bad day like we all do, then we've got to come in on occasions a little bit more than we would like as well, to be fair.
It's not easy sometimes. No.
Following on from Daryl's point there, the referee in sports in general that I love watching the most is Nigel Owens. I don't know if you've ever come across him, Roy, in Welsh.
Watch him a lot. But great communicator, isn't he?
Fantastic. And I often think that's the hard thing with your guy. I mean, it's hard enough to make the right decision. Let's face it, you've got an impossible job. But then what's even harder is sort of managing the player or the situation in the match to someone who feels like they've been slighted or they've been wrong. And kind of the worst thing you can do is say totally from the first thing, no discussions, and almost be the head teacher kind of. But at the same time, if you let that discussion go on too long, or you say the wrong explanation, or something that just annoys them even more, so you've kind of got an impossible job really there.
Yeah. Well, and also you remember different players react differently as well. I think you've really got
you
to know your
personality
players as well,
well.
because they all have different emotions and
Sure.
different manners how they go about things.
Sure.
And
I let you into a little secret, boys. I let you into a little secret. For the first, like, obviously, got to be 10 years that obviously me and John, so from 2010, me and John reffing, and we like chalk and cheese. I'm the one that knows the rules. I don't know 8.6.2, but I'm fairly up in the rule. John in those days just didn't have a clue, and the amount of scenarios which he got out of due to his communication skills and his diffusing of that situation, right? And on many occasions, the ruling he made was not in the rule book, right? Was taught and so
feel the situation.
Yeah. So the amount of people the amount of players he conned, and we used to have a laugh after, because, you know, especially when we got to like certain specifics, you know, because John didn't, he just made the call there and then, and because he was John, everyone accepted the decision, and it was totally wrong on X amount of occasions. It's amazing.
So I've got a little video to share with you here. So let's check that it works, because sometimes technology just to kind of showcase to the viewer what a difficult job you guys have. Okay, so I've found a decision. Yeah. It's actually
in Saudi. Is it with three of us?
Purely, no, there's one ref in this one. Purely just by chance. It's one of my matches. And literally, watching this, you could have given anything. It could have been stroke, let, no let. It could have been not up. And then my ball on the next one could have been given not up as well. So it could have been anything. So I'll just show you this. If they tell me that this... Oh, hang on. Is that come up, guys? You got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a little watch of this.
Oh, with Rami.
See the ball well on this call.
So I'll show a replay in a second.
You want a conduct stroke for this, Nick, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Nick, what's your thoughts watching it again?
Well,
you're playing for a stroke, right?
I have no idea why I jumped over him. Watching it back, oh, it's still going.
Should have just stayed behind him.
Yeah, I mean, watching it back, my first thought is, why did I jump over him when I could have just stepped to the ball and just hit it while he was on the floor and won the point? And for some reason, I decided to hurdle over him, and in the process, kind of lost my momentum, and then didn't even end up getting to the ball by the time it bounced twice. So, I mean, just an example of a decision. I mean, you actually see the replay. He did actually get that kind of shank off my frame. It's my best shot, that. But it could have been not up in first viewing. It could have been a stroke. It could have been a let, which was given. It could have been a no let because I made too much a meal of it. So, yeah. I mean, how are you supposed to ref that? And then you've got me losing my head because it was 2-1-9-8.
Yeah.
Crucial point in the match. So, I mean, just to show you've got an impossible job, really.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Next day, you can look at a decision, and you can look at it for 10 minutes, and you can still see 3 decisions in it, can't you? Yeah. You know, that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? Yeah.
Is that a good thing because in the football, a lot of things come with VAR now. We'll get onto technology short in a minute, but sometimes getting decisions wrong and it being talking points in the pub has been kind of like a good thing. in many ways. You know, that people are kind of saying, oh, you know, this is offside by a toenail or something's actually spoiling the game.
Yeah.
So like, where, you know, is it that's all right in squash, it's impossible to get it right, but is that a good thing in the sense that people can disagree and it creates a bit of kind of back and forth with the public that watch it?
Well, we've moved on to a video referee as well now, and that still doesn't stop the controversy, does it? So, you know, it's still good. Of course, it's good to have controversy, isn't it? You're never going to get cut and dried situations.
Yeah. I think it's actually worse now for the decision, because what's happening now, to be fair to the players, 90, 95, 99% of the players are looking for playing the ball. Right, you know, fair play. You know, I take my hat off to them. Lots of the players are there. Granted, you get a matchup where it gets a little bit naughty, and you've got to encourage them a bit more. So what happens there now? The stoppages we're having are a little bit more technical, you know, and you've got to think it through a little bit now, right? Okay, when it gets to the end of the match, then, you know, they do start looking or whatever. But the amount of difficult decisions we've got to make now, you have 15 decisions in a match, you know, which is a really good average now for any men's or women's match, and 5 or 6 of those, I would say, you know, are really technical decisions now, which the 4 of us could watch per year, and we could have 3 decisions. You know, we would have split answers on 6 of them, I reckon. Definitely.
Yeah, it's tough. It's very tough these days. And you can watch it as a player, you can watch it on a video review, and it looks so much different to how you feel when you've just played that exact same rally on the court. And then you look up at the video screen and you watch it again, and you're like, either that's a great decision to review it, or oh my God, that's an awful decision to review it. But
what you've got to do, and I'm looking at this differently now with a coach's hat on, and I think I learned this lesson a few years ago, and it was probably a stage in my career where I'm my biggest critic as well, as you guys said you were. And I think that's the way you improve and the way you learn and everything like that. So it's a good quality to have. Even if we could be too harsh on ourselves at times, it's still a good thing. And I remember a match playing Weil El Hindi in the desert in the Pyramids and lost 12-10 in the 5th, whatever it was, and felt like I got, you know, refereed out of it. In that
2006, was it?
Yeah, and I kind of vowed to myself after that match, like, do whatever you can, twofold. One, to try and not have the referee involved as much in the match. So go round, play through the interference, like you said, be a bit clever tactically, play tighter, be smarter. And secondly, if it does get like that, don't then further it by getting so wound up and so frustrated that all you're doing is fueling the fire. So you have a match which is kind of a light bulb incident you know, and then I think after that I started to get a little bit gradually less argumentative and so on. So by the end was probably in control a lot more of that mindset. When I'm coaching now, I always say to a player, if you're getting penalised for doing the same thing over and over again, and it's starting to become an area that you're getting lots of strokes, let's say, or lots of no-lets because your movement's wrong, then that's something you can improve. If it's just a random bad decision, or that you perceive as a bad decision, kind of get on with the game, because you can't control that and just play. But where you can work on is if you've got a weakness in an area. If you always get stroked in the front backhand, for example, you've got to work on something there because it's starting to get more than a coincidence. Would you agree kind of with that philosophy?
Yeah, I think you're looking at, you know, you force players to play 3 quarters, like you're saying, right? If they miss their targets, you know, and we continuously penalise them in that area. And what happens with, like, me and John, because we referee so many players, you know, consistently, we get to, you know, we talk about players' movement, you know, from a coaching perspective, obviously from a refereeing perspective, missing their targets, front left, front right, across the middle, front back, you know. So we could break you a game down, Nick, from a technical point of view, but from a refereeing point of view, you know, and it will be about, you know, you're slow coming off the ball, you're making yourself a bit big, you know, you're missing your target, Heavy drops, that's a classic one for me and John. For players lower down, people are hitting heavy drops. They haven't got soft hands, and these are the sort of conversations. Lo and behold,
you keep saying hitting your target. I've got to pull you up on that one though, Roy. Because what about the one down the middle? Where's the target in that?
Yeah, but that's a good shot, isn't it, Nick? Right? What I'm saying is when you go for that.
I know what you're saying. I'm just being facetious. Visible targets, but I know what you mean.
We know, guys, same as you hit the heavy drop, you've got to get out of there. And we know all about that, and where it's landing on the front wall and things like this, so we are getting more technical as well, like breaking that game down as well.
Yeah, and then when the player is missing his target, we're then watching the incoming player looking for the player as well. Some players are looking for the other player, so it's all fine lines, isn't it?
Yeah. Very fine lines.
You've got a bit of a speed round for us.
Oh, I thought you had the speed round.
No, you got a speed round, mate.
I thought you said you had Power and Palmer.
But I've asked that already.
Have you not got any others? You just have that one.
I've got some others, but I felt like I was stealing your segment.
Well, no, mine are not quick fire. Mine are a little bit more in depth. My ones. So I was going to ask. I was going to ask you both. What's your most memorable match to have refereed? Was the first one, the one that instantly sort of pops in your head and be like, for whatever reason, it doesn't have to be controversial, just it can be an amazing match to have just been part of, to have watched, whatever you guys feel.
I think mine was probably the World Open final in Qatar, Rami and Mohammed. Yeah. Was it 2014? It was just amazing squash, absolutely amazing squash.
Yeah. Mine goes back to the early days where I just learned so much. 1997 British Open. My friend PJ and Peter Nickel, first round British Open, when there were match ball situation and dodgy pickups, like you said. I was the referee, the marker. Hadn't called a couple of games. I dived in and got it wrong. And from that thing, PJ, they actually was shaking hands, walking off court, right? And they were playing, it was like 15, 14 or 14 all at the time. And he went to 17 and PJ didn't have another match. He did have another match ball after. He lost 17, like 15 in the fifth, whatever, to Peter Nickel. And I kept them on court and I obviously lost the game. So from that match, PJ didn't speak to me for like 5 or 6 years.
That must have been a relief.
Yeah, it was a relief, and basically, I just learned so much from that match.
Peter got to the final, did he?
Yeah. Lost to Jansha, yeah. He got to the final, that's right. This was the first round on the outside court in Cardiff, or on the glass bar court. Massive crowd, from the rafters. And like I said, early doors, 1997. I'd done a couple of matches, which was really good. And it was just, for me, one match too far for that event. Just learned so much, to be honest. And
can I just go back to a memorable match of mine? It's that memorable.
We just losing you there, John. John, we're just losing you there. There we go.
Yeah, it's that memorable. I can't actually remember the two players who were playing. And I wasn't even the central referee. I was the left referee, the left side referee. Right. And halfway through the match, and this was in Cairo, one Nick Matthew came to me and said, Roy is out in the showers and he's in trouble. He needs you quickly. So I think that match has been that story has been told many times.
I remember
even last year when I was best man at his wedding, I recounted it in detail, which I'm not going to do here.
I remember that. I was in the changing room having a shower, and Roy, I've never seen him move so quickly. He came past me, Daryl, honestly, he came past me at a rate of knots, and I was like, all right, Roy, he went, can't talk. And he was gone.
Yeah.
I saw you, John, in a bad way as well in India that time.
Few dodgy salads flying about, boys.
I was laid on the grass.
We lost you there, John.
Oh, God.
Send your video off.
Send your video off.
What do I do? Cancel.
No, press don't.
Oh,
There we go.
He's
Doesn't
back.
come back. Hey,
No, he's back,
I'm
he's back.
learning. I'm learning.
There
Yeah.
we go.
Go on, John. Where was that? India. That one.
In
I remember
India.
that.
Yeah, your dad was
You were
there.
in all
yeah.
sorts. You were in all
I
sorts
think
of
it was
trouble then.
probably just before the final.
that was on the cricket ground, John, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
You were down at third man, weren't you?
Yeah.
lying down.
Yeah.
He was
1
lying
minute
down
I
on
was
the
there
floor
ready
like
to
this.
throw the ball back in. Yeah. I
He
was
was
ready
lying
to throw
like
it
a
in from the
starfish
down
on the
third
floor.
man. And I
saw
saw
him
him
about-
collapse somewhere. Yeah.
I saw him about an hour before, just drinking straight out the tap. That's probably why. Oh,
Yeah.
I was going to bring you up on those.
Yeah,
couple of
it's funny
stories
how
as well.
some of your memorable matches you can't even remember the players. Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I was actually going to bring you up on those stories anyway, so glad you brought those to the fore.
Favorite tournament, guys?
Oh, I like the one in Bermuda. I did, to be honest.
Good on that. We're hot.
Canary Wharf's very special, isn't it? That's like a bear pit, isn't it?
Not
Great.
somewhere where you can go out sunbathing, John.
Well, you thought I'd say that, wouldn't you? Yeah, yeah. If you're going to say the sunshine, yes, Algona, definitely.
Yeah, goodness.
For those viewers watching, I do have to give a bit of credit here because John, not so much Roy, but John trains harder, should I say, he's got a H in it, harder than any player at the tournament. He's in the gym every morning without fail on the cross trainer. I remember once at Manchester, the Etihad, you brought your bike in the car and you used to pedal around the stadium in between matches. I remember
That's
his
right.
helmet on,
Yeah.
going around the stadium on his bike.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So credit where it's
Keeps you young. Keeps you young.
Mostly topless as well.
If it's sunny.
Yeah, if the sun's out.
All right, quick fire then for me, Daz, and then we'll leave you to the quiz.
Okay, mate. Far away.
So, one ref or part of three?
One.
One ref and video, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. We've done Parapama. Ricketts or Bianchetti?
Oh, in what way?
Well, who would you prefer to ref? Who's harder to ref?
Who's harder or who do you prefer?
Davide every time.
David.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ricketts
Great
for me.
character.
Ricketts for me.
Ricketts. All right. Refereeing catchphrase. Have you got a catchphrase?
Go to the ball. Go to the ball. That's Roy's.
Yeah, do each other's. Boy, what's John's?
What's John's, Roy?
Oh, I don't know. You got too many.
I thought Roy's would have been affected,
No further
not
discussion.
prevented. Affected,
No
not
further discussion.
prevented was my
Oh,
one.
yes.
Oh, that's Joey's, yeah. Affected, not prevented.
Technology, good or bad? You touched on it before.
Good.
Yeah, very good.
5 years. Last one. 5 years time. How do you see it moving on, technology-wise?
Outs, downs, not ups. You know, fair outcome to every possible rally. That's what we're looking for now. A fair outcome all the way through. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Brilliant. With the little quiz, fellas. It's part of his.
Is this a
legend.
Part of my DNA now.
Is this a Liverpool quiz?
No, not today, Roy.
Oh.
Fred.
Always need the safety specs on. I've got a different hat for each one. So today we've got a little trilby. Right. I've only got 4 questions today, but it's basically around refereeing, but mainly from other sports. So it's a little quiz between the three of you, between John, Roy and Nick. We have lots of fun here. You're allowed to smile. So I've got 4 questions. First one is whoever gets the closest answer. So I'm going to give you a stat question. Whoever gets the closest to the correct answer wins the round. There are half points available. Okay, first one. How many decisions, on average, does a football referee make in a match?
53.
All decisions. This is all decisions. So not. I'll give you the actual technical.
Is it throw-ins? Does the linesman make those, or the?
No, so
referees?
this is the main referee, not the combination of all of them.
Okay.
So hang on, I'll give you the exact spiel. It's how many decisions are made? So technical and judging physical contact.
36 for me.
35. What do you say?
What
did you say?
I said 36.
Oh, we said at the same time, didn't we? Yeah.
50.
Oh, very close. 45.
Whoa.
45
Just
decisions.
stuck with your
Technical
original one,
decisions.
John.
Yeah.
Very close. Is that you, Nick? You got a cheeky
I'm
winning
2-1
start
down in
there.
the series. I need this today. I'm 2-1 down. I need this one.
Okay. And following on from that, how many of these decisions are classed as errors?
How many of the decisions are classed as errors?
Yeah. So out of those 45 decisions,
18 for me.
12.
18.
15. The third.
John?
12.
12. Yeah. I mean, it's actually 5.
Oh,
Gosh.
low.
Gosh.
Referees, they keep on
As low as that, eh? Wow.
They keep on their own side, don't they? They keep on their own side. Johnny, I think John you were closest, weren't you? 12. Okay.
Yeah.
One for John, one for Nick. Roy, this is your one. This is rugby one.
Oh.
I know you like rugby. Okay, rugby league. What percentage of time do rugby referees spend in a high anaerobic heart rate? So that's 170 beats per minute or above. So what percentage of the game are they working at 170 or above? Rugby league, this is.
Rugby league.
58%.
Okay, so John, you go first. You won the last round. 58%. Okay.
28 for me.
28. Nick?
35.
35. It is 31%.
Oh, is that
Roy.
right?
Roy gets it by percent. Very good, Roy.
1%.
Oh.
Very good. 31% of the time, which is obviously that's high, isn't it?
It's a third, maybe, yeah.
Well, I didn't
That's
think
a high-
because
that's a
it's
high-
very continuous rugby league, isn't it?
Very.
The rugby league's obviously very, very intense, isn't it? Because there's
Yeah,
not much,
very
not much stoppage
continuous.
going
Yeah.
on. It's a
Yeah.
good game. It's a good game, rugby league.
John's shrinking by
It's
the
a great game.
No.
Rugby.
It's almost as if it was meant to be. This is the last question. It's one apiece.
John, stand up, John.
I am.
Last one. Okay, this is a squash one. Roy, I reckon, might even know it. But anyway, 2015 tri-ref system. What was the average amount of decisions? So for the men, it was the top 12 tournaments of the year. For the women, the top 6, I think. So women's is a less of a thing. But how many was the average decisions per match in 2015 tri-ref? Men first. 2015 this is, yeah. This is where I got the stats from. These are the ones I could find online.
22.
22 for the men. Yeah.
17 for me.
Nicholas?
Wait, so how many refereeing decisions average per match?
Yeah, average per match. That's what the boys have said.
25.
Oh, a lot. The answer is 18.6.
Oh.
Ooh.
Is that Roy again?
Roy,
Roy
very
again.
good.
Just on the pose.
You've done it. 2-1-1. Roy, very good.
3-1
Good knowledge. Good knowledge. Roy, a couple of good questions there from 1-1-0 down.
Only because I compiled those stats.
Yeah.
I
You should have got it right then, shouldn't you?
Yeah, I didn't have the start in front of me at the time.
And he's been studying them for the last 48 hours as well.
Yeah.
Just in case for Bobby's quiz. People studying for these quiz now these days. I love it.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, a bit of fun to finish. Anyway, Roy, well done. Nick, another loss for you, son. He's normally good at quizzes, but I just stitch him up every week.
Yeah.
Actually, you might have won one, I think.
I won 3-1 down now.
Yeah, okay.
Are you? Good heavens.
3-1 down. We're going 8 episodes in this series, so got a bit of catching up to do.
Yeah, sure.
It's big. It's big. It's big. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We sincerely hope to see you in the hot seat, a different kind of hot seat, very shortly, and hopefully Daryl,
very much.
Daryl will be on the court telling you how to ref.
Hope so.
I won't stop.
Hope so. I really hope so.
Guys, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much.
It's been great. Guys, thanks for your time.
Okay.
Thank you, boys. Keep safe. Keep safe, guys.
Thanks a lot too.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks for your efforts.
Bye. John, do you know how to log out?
Yeah, I'll try.
His thumb's back.
That
was good, mate.
Fun, wasn't it?
That was very good. Enjoyed that. Boys are funny, aren't they?
They, you know, you sometimes forget, don't you, that when they're in that hot seat, that they are human beings as well. you kind of want to shout at them, don't you? And like,
I've shouted at both of them on many occasions, but always got on really well with both of them off the court.
Good guys there. I mean, I wish I could have called a video review, to be honest, in Bobby's quiz. I should have got Mike Riley on the video ref there.
One of them, I was like having to do the maths quite quickly, and I think I might have needed a VAR with that. But no, it was. Well, Roy got a couple of decent ones at the end. But
one thing I forgot to ask them was if it was 10-all, tough decision. Do you make the decision yourself, or do you go video ref? The thing is about
hospital
them.
Pass.
Yeah, just this hospital pass. Probably the biggest compliment I could pay John and Roy is I don't often see them making that hospital pass unless they really give it up. They do stick their neck and put their neck on the line, even if they, don't get it right. As you know, they alluded to, it's impossible to all the time. Just like we can't always hit our perfect shot, the target, and so on. So fair play to them. They do make those difficult calls, don't they? And
no, I think as referees, you have to be prepared to make mistakes the same way that we as players make mistakes all the time, right? But the referees ones are always criticised a lot more harshly because it can be that one at 10-all or whatever that might change a match. So
feel like
you have to
influence the match.
Yeah, you have to be prepared to stick your neck on the line. Both those guys are like massive characters and great refs. Got a lot of respect for them, and they would both stick their neck on the line at 10-all. That's the good thing. That's what makes them a great ref, I think. It's
great to hear the backstory about how they got into it as well, because
I didn't know any of that.
Feel how much they love the sport in their passion. They're desperate to get back out there, as we all are.
Yeah,
and it'll be fun to see him back in the hot seat. Hopefully, anyone that's watched this will stop shouting at the screens next time John or Roy get a perceived decision wrong, and we'll see them as the human beings that they are.
Still shout at them.
So,
nice way.
Are you back training yet?
No, mate.
Come on, mate.
What we're training for? My motivation's gone down. I was running, but
mate. Come on.
Yeah, no. I'll get back into it. Don't worry.
Come on, mate.
If we're not playing again till September, October, I've got plenty of time. Don't worry.
Get working hard, and in the meantime, I'll see you next week.
Yeah, mate. You crack on with your workouts. You're still smashing those out by the sound of it. So
motivation is dipping by the day, but
yeah. So you're giving me stick. Yeah, you know that.
I'm not a professional athlete.
You pretty much are, mate. You're still touring around every country in the world, aren't you?
What?
I said you're still touring around every country in the world. Where are we going next?
No, there's no ranking points at stake, though, mate. Come on.
That's true.
Training.
That's true.
My ranking's you've got to go fast the haircut now, so get on it.
Yeah, it's just to make me look a bit thinner. I was feeling I'm on diet now. Look, I've lost some weight. I have actually lost some weight. So, I need a challenge. I need a running challenge. If anyone wants to send me in running challenge of some sort, it might motivate me, like something quite difficult as well. I'm not sure what, but maybe if anyone wants to send something to me, I'll try and endeavour to do it.
If send them in, let's get Bobby fit again. See you next week, everyone.
Yeah, mate, enjoyed that. Great episode.